How to handle chronic medications when the pharmacies are gone. Most prepping conversations focus on food, water, shelter, and security. Those are the right instincts. But there is a category of vulnerability that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and for millions of Americans, it may be the most urgent one of all. What happens to the person managing high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, a thyroid condition, or a seizure disorder when the supply chain breaks down and the pharmacy down the street is no longer an option? This is not a hypothetical problem reserved for Hollywood disaster scripts. Supply chain fragility, grid vulnerabilities, civil unrest, and cascading infrastructure failures are real and documented risks. The question is not whether disruption is possible. The question is whether you are prepared for it. And for those who depend on daily, weekly, or monthly medications, preparation requires a specific and deliberate plan that goes well beyond a 72-hour bug-out bag. According to the Centers for Disease Control, roughly 6 in 10 American adults live with at least one chronic disease. A significant portion of those people depend on prescription medication to function, and in some cases, to survive. Without a plan, a prolonged grid down or societal disruption scenario doesn't just become uncomfortable, it becomes life-threatening. Here is a framework for thinking through your options now, while there is still time to act. Option 1. Have an honest conversation with your doctor. The most straightforward starting point is also the most underutilized. Go to your physician and tell them exactly what you are concerned about. Be transparent. Explain that you are paying attention to global instability, that you have read about supply chain vulnerabilities, and that you want to begin building an extended supply of whatever medications you depend on. Ask whether a rotating one-year supply is feasible given your specific prescriptions. Many doctors are more receptive to this conversation than patients expect, particularly in the current climate. Some medications can be prescribed in 90-day supplies rather than 30, which alone gives you room to begin stockpiling through careful rotation. The key principle is rotation, always using your oldest supply first and replenishing from the front, so nothing expires unused. It is also worth knowing that expiration dates on pharmaceuticals are more conservative than they appear. A landmark study conducted for the U.S. Department of Defense tested medications well past their labeled expiration dates and found that 88% of tested drug lots remained stable and effective. Proper storage, cool, dry, dark, and sealed, extends viability considerably beyond what the label suggests. Your doctor can advise on which of your specific medications are good candidates for longer-term storage and which are not. If your physician is dismissive or unwilling to engage with a medically reasonable request, that itself is useful information. A doctor who won't work with a prepared patient may not be the right long-term partner for your health. Option 2. Explore telehealth and long-term storage medication services. The telehealth industry has expanded significantly in recent years, and with it, access to physicians who operate outside the traditional brick-and-mortar model. Services designed specifically for preppers and self-reliant families now exist that allow patients to consult with licensed physicians remotely and obtain prescriptions for medications intended for long-term storage. One such resource is Jace Medical, accessible through patriot.tv/meds. Their model is built around exactly this problem, connecting patients with physicians who understand the preparedness mindset and can work with them to build a meaningful pharmaceutical reserve. For those who have struggled to have this conversation with a traditional provider, this is a practical alternative worth exploring. Option 3. Connect with a compounding pharmacy. Compounding pharmacies operate differently from chain pharmacies. Rather than dispensing mass-produced medications, they prepare custom formulations based on a physician's prescription, mixing ingredients to the exact strength, dosage form, and delivery method a patient needs. For preppers, this flexibility is significant. A compounding pharmacist can work with your doctor to create formulations that are better suited to long-term storage, or to produce a medication in a form that is easier to administer without typical medical infrastructure. They are often more willing than chain pharmacies to engage in extended supply planning, and they can prepare medications that may be difficult to obtain through conventional channels. Ask your physician for a referral, or search for an accredited compounding pharmacy in your region through the Professional Compounding Centers of America. Option 4. Research natural and homeopathic alternatives. For some chronic conditions, nature has provided options that predate the pharmaceutical industry by centuries. This is not a suggestion to abandon proven medication without medical guidance. It is a suggestion to know your alternatives before you need them. Certain herbal and nutritional interventions have documented effects on blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation, and anxiety. Berberine, for instance, has been studied for its effects on glucose metabolism. Hawthorn extract has a long history in cardiovascular support. Valerian root and magnesium have well-documented roles in sleep and nervous system regulation. None of these are drop-in replacements for prescription medications, but they may help bridge a gap or reduce dependency in a prolonged disruption scenario. The right approach is to begin this research now, in consultation with a physician or naturopath who takes integrative medicine seriously, and to understand what a reasonable transition or supplementation plan might look like for your specific condition. Do not wait until the crisis arrives to discover that you had options you never investigated. Option 5. Investigate international pharmacy access. Americans are often surprised to learn how differently pharmaceuticals are regulated and dispensed in other countries. In Mexico, Canada, and across much of Latin America and Eastern Europe, medications that require a prescription in the United States are available over the counter or through far more accessible channels. Many of these are chemically identical to their American counterparts. Same active ingredient, same manufacturer, fraction of the price. For those who travel, building a modest reserve through international pharmacy visits is a legitimate and widely practiced strategy. Cross-border pharmacy access from states like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California is a long-established reality. Online international pharmacy options also exist, though they require careful vetting to ensure legitimacy and product quality. Research the specific regulations governing importation of your medications, understand what quantities are legally permissible, and treat this as one layer of a broader strategy rather than a standalone solution. Option 6. Know the veterinary and agricultural pharmaceutical landscape. This option requires the clearest disclaimer of all. This is informational, not a recommendation, and nothing here should be acted on without thorough research and ideally professional guidance. With that said, the reality is that many medications used in veterinary and agricultural settings are chemically identical to human formulations. Amoxicillin, doxycycline, metronidazole, and other antibiotics are among the most frequently cited examples. Fish antibiotics, in particular, have long been discussed in prepper communities as a contingency measure. The concerns are real and should not be dismissed. Dosing equivalency, purity standards, and the absence of FDA oversight for human use are all legitimate issues. But in a true grid-down scenario, where no physician or pharmacist is available, and where the alternative is going without any antibiotic treatment at all, the calculus changes. Know this landscape exists. Understand the risks. Make informed decisions for your specific situation before a crisis forces an uninformed one. Option 7. Reduce dependency through lifestyle modification. The most durable long-term strategy is also the one that requires the most discipline. Many of the chronic conditions that drive pharmaceutical dependency in America, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, anxiety, and others, are significantly influenced by lifestyle factors. Diet, exercise, sleep quality, stress management, and body composition all play documented roles in the progression or regression of these conditions. The prepper who spends the next 12 months reducing processed food intake, walking daily, cutting alcohol, managing stress through prayer and community, and reaching a healthier body weight may find that his medication requirements have decreased significantly or disappeared. This is not wishful thinking. It is well-documented medicine. The bonus is that these changes also improve resilience across virtually every other dimension of preparedness. Isaiah 40:29 puts it plainly, "He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. That promise has always carried a cooperative dimension. We are called to steward the health and resources we have been given, not merely to ask for rescue when we have neglected what was within our reach. Build the plan before you need it. None of these options works as a last-minute solution. A doctor won't build you a year's supply of medication the week the grid goes down. A compounding pharmacy won't be open after a prolonged infrastructure failure. The time to have these conversations, make these connections, and build these reserves is now, while the system is still functioning and while you still have options. Chronic medication dependency is one of the most personal and serious vulnerabilities a prepper can carry. It is also one of the most solvable if you take it seriously before the moment of crisis. Work through each of these options with your specific conditions and medications in mind. Seek qualified medical input at every step and build a layered plan that doesn't depend on any single solution holding up under pressure. That is what genuine preparedness looks like. Nothing in this article constitutes medical advice. Consult a licensed physician before making any changes to your medication regimen.